It's inspiring, isn't it, to imagine a country saying enough. No more external debt, no more strings attached. That's exactly what President Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso has been trying to do. Since coming to power in 2022, he has positioned himself as someone who rejects the usual route: big loans, foreign conditions, and financial dependencies. People across Burkina Faso and even beyond are listening, some with hope, some with cautious optimism. Because Traoré hasn't just made speeches, he's taken concrete steps. For example, he's rejected loans from the IMF and the World Bank. He's been pushing for what you might call economic and political self-reliance, not in abstract terms, but through measurable policies. One of the things that gives this movement weight is that the standard of living, or at least some key sectors, are showing signs of change. Agricultural inputs, local resource processing, paying off local debts, pushing back against exporting raw materials without refining, all that has been on the agenda. Yes, people are excited. There's a feeling of pride, especially among younger folks, who see something different in Traoré's style: visible actions, emphasizing culture, local capability, refusing to bow to external pressure. It's possible, they think, that Burkina Faso could avoid the usual trap: small economic gains but heavy debt burdens that last generations. But there are worries too. Skeptics wonder whether rejecting external financing entirely is realistic, because expensive infrastructure costs money, efficient governance is needed, and investment often demands technical expertise, materials, logistics that sometimes do come from abroad. Could external partnerships done well, with good contracts, transparency, favorable terms, coexist with sovereignty? Many ask this. Then there's the matter of credibility. Because when a bold claim like "Built Africa's biggest canal without any IMF or WB support" goes out, people want proof: funding details, engineering plans, supply chains, timelines. As of now, there is no verified information confirming that such a canal exists in that form or was entirely locally funded. That doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's important to separate hope from headline. Still, whether or not the canal is real yet, the idea is powerful. It embodies a shift away from externally defined development toward people defining their own priorities. And even that message matters. Burkina Faso, under Traoré, has already done things like pay off local debts, begin refining its own gold instead of sending raw ore away, approving local processing plants, reducing ministerial salaries while increasing civil servant pay. So, if this canal story turns out to be accurate, it might become symbolic of a larger transformation. A country, or even many countries, aiming to build without begging, and to build something lasting. Many across Africa are watching, wondering, is this the start of a new model for development? Traoré's leadership has been marked by both fierce criticism and deep admiration. To his supporters, he is not just a soldier turned president, he is a symbol of African pride and independence. Someone willing to say no to old systems that many believe have kept Africa dependent for too long. He speaks about sovereignty not as a slogan, but as a survival strategy. He wants Burkina Faso to stand on its own feet, and he wants other African nations to see that it's possible. In villages and cities, people talk about him with a mix of affection and awe. They see him as one of them, a man who rose from humble beginnings, a soldier who didn't forget the streets he walked before politics found him. His speeches are simple, fiery, and grounded. He doesn't use polished diplomatic language. He speaks directly, like someone talking to his neighbors about fixing what's broken. It has that tone and the sense of shared struggle that has drawn crowds to his message. Traoré has repeatedly emphasized that Africa has enough resources to thrive without needing to depend on foreign creditors. The gold, the cotton, the fertile land, the minerals, they're all there. What's missing, he says, is control over them. For decades, Africa has exported its wealth and imported its poverty. That's the cycle he wants to break. Still, the road ahead is rough. Building independence means making tough choices. It means facing short-term hardship for long-term freedom. It means resisting the easy money that comes with heavy conditions. And it means proving to the world and to the Burkina Faso people that a self-reliant path can actually work. Even if the canal project itself turns out to be symbolic, the dream behind it carries weight. A canal, something that channels life, water, and movement, is a perfect metaphor for what many Africans are craving. Flow, connection, growth that's homegrown, not imported. It's less about the concrete and steel, more about what it represents, a continent taking back its destiny. As Burkina Faso continues to carve its new path, Traoré's experiment will be watched closely. Every policy, every success, every stumble will send ripples far beyond his borders. And somewhere between those dust-filled roads and golden plains, there's a story unfolding, one of courage, pride, and a deep longing for true independence. When Ibrahim Traoré speaks about Africa, there is a fire in his voice, the kind that comes from deep frustration but also deep love. He's not just talking politics, he's talking about dignity. For him, self-reliance isn't a slogan, it's survival. He believes Africa has every resource it needs to thrive. Yet for decades, outsiders have dictated the rules through institutions like the IMF and World Bank. Those loans, he says, don't bring freedom. They bring chains wrapped in promises. By rejecting IMF and World Bank dependency, Traoré is making a statement much bigger than Burkina Faso. He's saying Africa can stand on its own feet, build its own systems, and decide its own future. It's a bold move, especially for a country that could easily take the easy money and stay quiet. But Traoré would rather build slowly with integrity than grow fast under control. People across the continent feel that message. They see in him a leader unafraid to dream of an Africa that owns its destiny, one that doesn't ask for permission to rise. And in that belief, there's a spark of something powerful: hope, pride, and the beginning of a new story for the continent. In Burkina Faso, there's a quiet but powerful shift taking place. Under Ibrahim Traoré's leadership, the focus has turned inward, toward the land, the people, and the country's own rich resources. Instead of selling raw gold, cotton, and minerals to the world for pennies, the government is working to process them locally. It's about keeping the value at home, creating jobs, and letting the nation truly benefit from what it already owns. Traoré believes development doesn't have to come with heavy debt or foreign control. He wants Burkina Faso to grow without borrowing its future away. That means fewer handouts, fewer conditions, and more self-made progress. It's not an easy road, but it is one that restores pride, the kind that comes from knowing your own hands built something real. In villages and towns, people are starting to feel that change. Farmers are encouraged to produce more for local markets, small factories are opening to process local goods, and young people are being inspired to think differently about what's possible. It's a slower kind of development, but it's honest, homegrown, and rooted in the belief that Burkina Faso's strength lies within its own soil. The idea of the canal has become more than just a construction project. It is a symbol, a reflection of something much deeper stirring across Africa. To many, it represents a new kind of independence, one built not through speeches but through action. A canal carries water, life, and connection, just like Africa's new movement toward unity and self-determination. It's about building something lasting with your own hands, on your own terms. For years, Africa's progress has been tied to the decisions of others, loans, conditions, and external approvals. But the canal, real or symbolic, stands for a different dream, that Africa can create, design, and sustain without permission. It reminds people that sovereignty isn't just political, it's economic, cultural, and emotional too. Across the continent, this message is awakening pride. Young people see in this vision a future where Africa's wealth flows through African hands. Leaders see proof that working together, rather than depending outwardly, can shape a new destiny. The canal, in that sense, is not just about water or infrastructure. It's about reclaiming control, identity, and the right to define what development means for Africa, by Africa. If this story moved you or made you think differently, take a moment to be part of the conversation. Your voice matters. Share your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more powerful stories like this, and like the video to help spread awareness. Together, we can keep these important discussions alive and growing.